Okay, shall we, I realise how exciting it is to be here in Vienna, but perhaps the people in the cheap seats could just get sat down. So we're here, Vienna. I love Vienna. What a great city. Music, architecture, culture, learning, and now, of course, another AMEE conference. For those of you who are of a certain age, you will remember when we were here before. I know some of you have had difficult travels because of flights and so forth. Some of you, I know, have brought your children because I've met you. I give you respect for that. Some of you, of course, are now feeling guilty because you haven't brought your children. Don't feel guilty. For those of you who've had small children over the long summer holiday, you have earned this time, believe me. Many years ago, I took my husband and 2 young children for a 2-week holiday in the Lake District in the UK. On the 5th day of continuous rain, after Billy the ball bearing factory and Percy the pencil museum, I realized it was only 11:30 in the morning. I could have wept. But it doesn't get any better when they're teenagers, of course. Some of you will remember we had a great meeting in Lyon. In the middle of the night, my phone went off. It was my youngest daughter. I was like, oh my God, what's happened? What's happened? I picked up the phone and she was on the other end of the phone in tears. The hideous boyfriend had split up with her. I was on pay-as-you-go. I remember thinking, could you weep faster? What a dreadful mother I am, but I got home to a €64 bill on that occasion. So I'm just waiting this time, of course, for my mother to text me to tell me my father's stuck in the Stanner stair lift up the stairs. So it doesn't bother. But you're here. This is you time. You've done a lot of work to get here. This is going to be the best AMEE meeting ever. We've got fantastic plenaries, and our first one tonight with Ray Land. So there's no pressure there, Ray, on you. It's going to be fantastic. We know that already. As I say, it's great to see you all. I want you to have a really good time over the next few days. Take time to enjoy yourselves, to get out of your comfort zone, and to have fun. And the person I'm going to ask to come up to tell us all about the programme is Richard März, who is chair of the local organising committee and has done all the work. Richard.
Well, what an introduction. It works, I think. Welcome. Yeah, it's a nice city. Trudie is right about it. Sitting here, of course, you'll never know. So, I want to tell you a little bit about it. We are here right now. This is the conference center, built right next to the Vienna campus of the United Nations. And actually, there's also a direct connection, which we cannot use because that's off limits to us for security reasons. But this was purpose-built for them. The vicinities, you see park around here. And then, if you venture forward in this direction, you'll see a stream. But don't be tempted to think that's the Danube. It is not. We have a bigger view of it. And what you actually see here is this channel of water we call the New Danube. Then there's a small strip of land, and the actual Danube is over here. You'll get another view in a second, but just to get the location straight, so there's a very nice park around here you can venture into with also a very nice playground. Now, this water you can actually swim in. It's the New Danube. It's here for this purpose, but mind you, swimming. It's cold. If you're more the bathing type, venture into the other direction. This is a big recreational area with also publicly accessible bathing places, a big island here, the Gänsehäufel, very nice, about less than half an hour's walk away, so nice to venture forward. Give you another view, so new Danube, the actual Danube, and a thin strip of land, a man-made island. This is about 21 kilometers long. It's part of a huge flood protection scheme built in the 1970s and 1980s. Actually, it only had to prove its worth once. This was during the devastating floods of 2002, which really devastated most of Europe. But Vienna stayed dry, so 40 years, one time it worked fine. But actually, this is a huge recreational area, this 20-kilometer long strip of land, walking, bicycling. Actually, I once did the thing, back and forth, in one day, but mind you, only once. One shouldn't overdo those things, I think. Yeah, so nice recreation, lot to explore. Actually, somewhere along here, there are two nudist beaches. Where? That's for me to know, you to find out. No actual further hints. Okay, so very nice. Now, this here is a map of the public transport system. We are interested in this red line. We actually have a stop, 5 minutes walking from here. You probably took it to come here. That's the Kaisermühlen Vienna International Conference Center. Now, 2 stops in this direction gets you to the biggest shopping mall in Vienna. No need to get up now, they're closed right now, actually. No, actually, Vienna, you may discover rather restricted opening hours. That's an interesting coalition of Catholic Church and socialist-dominated labor unions, which got together on that. And so Sunday, everything is closed down, and also during the week, fairly restricted opening hours. So for this shopping center, it's 9 in the morning to 8 at night. Okay, tomorrow, suggestion. If you head in the other direction, a few stops without changing, this is St. Stephen's Square, the center of the inner district. That's the touristy area. No, it's the interesting area to walk around it. So really plenty to explore here. Very convenient. But if that's not enough to you, I do have it on good authority. Here, right in this very building, there'll be a conference on medical education, so you may want to attend. And actually there, I must tell you, so 2011 we had the first conference, not at this venue, but a few kilometers away. And there actually I was able to make my mark, my one contribution to medical education. I don't know if you remember the dark days before 2011, where we had those AMEE receptions after the first session, carrot sticks, celery sticks, olives on a toothpick. Well, at my insistence in Vienna 2011, they served real food after the reception. And I'm happy to tell you, tonight we'll continue this tradition, yes. Yeah, so a fantastic program awaits you. An embarrassment of riches, really. I don't know. I will not start because I wouldn't know where, except a little joke, which actually I told already in 2011, so if you still remember, that's your problem, not mine. No, it's simply, how do you handle a situation like that? Where do you turn first? And our German colleagues would approach this situation, study the program in depth and say, well, the situation is serious, but not hopeless. Well, you're in Austria now, and so I urge you to take the Austrian approach to things. The situation is hopeless, but not serious. Yeah, well, unfortunately, this witticism doesn't apply to all situations in life, but let's enjoy life as we may, as the song says. So welcome and enjoy. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anita Rieder. As I was asked to welcome you as a Vice Rector, so I left the jokes to Richard. And so I tried to introduce you maybe in some thoughts, medical education we're also dealing with, I guess, all together. And for me, it's really a great pleasure to welcome here you all in Vienna. I was here also in 2011, not as a Vice Rector, but as a Dean of the Medical Curriculum, and it is amazing. Now we have more than 4,000 participants, and it's great to have you all here in Vienna. So Richard taught you the conference side, told you something about Vienna. So I am also from the Public Health Center, so I have to talk something about public health, of course. And we know that medical education is all about public health, and it's all about people's health. This is why we are working for, why we are assembling, why we are having meetings like this. And I like this quote very much, and this definition. It's the collective action for sustained population-wide health improvement. What we do in the next days, I think we are part of this collective action and we take it serious. And I know we all take it very serious, and we had a very, very interesting workshop in the afternoon with a lot of interesting discussions. I can say all over the world, participants from everywhere, and we could share really our experiences. So you all remember, I guess, this was published 10 years ago, and it's still, I guess, very on time and very actual. It's was said how we should train the health professionals and educated in the 21st century. This is still the question. And they said and told us, in optimum circumstances, there is a balance between population needs, health system demand for professionals, and the supply, therefore, by the educational systems. Can we fulfill all this? So I thought, does healthcare match population needs? We have the demographic changes, we have the epidemiological trends, we have very complex care situations. We have new models of healthcare, of course. We have to position prevention and rehabilitation more than ever in the disciplinary and interprofessional care teams, and we are doing a lot of education when it comes to interprofessional training, and we all know how demanding and challenging this is. There are a lot of developments in precision medicine, deep medicine, genomic medicine, big data, digital medicine, new technologies. We are confronted with and facing all these developments, and we were asked how to deal with in medical education. And of course, we have to focus on the patient safety. So, does medical education match population needs and healthcare? Healthcare and population needs versus a new profile of medical doctors and health professionals. Focus on training in data science and mathematics. So do we that include in our curricula? Do we have to change our admission processes, and future admission tests should involve more basic science versus social competences? Is this a competition between social competences and basic science like mathematics and physics? Our curricular, is it more about technology and less communication? We are always asked about that and have a lot of debates about that. Do we widening the gap between specialists and general practitioners? So there is a very interesting paper from Genomic Medicine several years ago, and it said future medical students will need to develop skills in manipulating data mining tools, evaluating data, problem solving, and navigating the emerging healthcare delivery system. They told us the genotype has been sequenced, but the phenotype of the educational modalities remains minimally expressed. What a statement. So we met at the Dean's meeting in April in Rotterdam. This was a very exciting meeting, and there will be, of course, a follow-up. And what we managed is, out from a 2-day meeting, that we had a joint Rotterdam principle and recommendations for action. I don't want to go into detail, but it was all about training future-proof doctors for the digital society. So in Vienna, we have a lot of traditions. We also had some historic workshop also included in the afternoon program today. But we have more than 230 years of experience developing teaching technologies. You can see our most famous, I can say world famous VAX models. Unfortunately, you can't see that this year, but if you come back in 2 years, they will be there and brilliant and fascinating as ever for hundreds of years. And we developed from these VAX models used for teaching to our digital medicine to simulation. And we have Paul, and Paul is the smallest high-end patient simulator we also use for students and for training doctors. So this is what I learned from last year. I learned a lot last year in Basel, and I really enjoy every AMEE conference. But these are 2 take-home messages for me when it is discussed all this digital medicine and deep medicine. Teach values what cannot be learned online, and communication is not the side dish. It should be learned as the main dish. So enjoy the conference, enjoy Vienna, and thank you so much to the organizers of this conference.
Sorry, we're having a slight problem with the sound. We did have it this afternoon, believe it or not. Is the sound turned on? Well, this was going to be a tremendous performance of the Blue Danube. It meant a lot to me because, in fact, it was the first tune I learned to play on the piano. But clearly, there's a problem about playing it just now. So sorry about that. But a big welcome to Vienna and to AMEE 2019. As we've heard, Vienna's got a lot to offer. In some ways, it was listed as the world's first most livable city. And another prize it got was the city with the best quality of life. So there's a lot going for it in Vienna. So welcome to Vienna, and welcome to AMEE 2019 here in this lovely city of Vienna. Okay, so hopefully we're now in business. Sorry for that interruption. we've started for the last few years and try to identify what's the odd one out. So this is a game where you have to think, what's the odd one out of these 4 pictures? You can discuss it with your neighbour. Here, 4 pictures, and which is the odd one out? Which is the odd one out? Well, the odd one out is here. There actually is a Ferris wheel here in Vienna. Has anyone been on it yet? It's worth going on it. So if you haven't been on it, go on it. But that isn't actually the one in Vienna. That is the one in Georgia, USA. So that's the odd one out. The other 3 have all got connections with Vienna. This, of course, is Sigmund Freud, called City of Dreams. Vienna, other name because of Sigmund Freud, and of course that we all know is Wiener Schnitzel, and this, and that's the famous Spanish riding school here in Vienna. And if you get a chance, go there as well. So that's the odd one out. We've got, as you've heard, a record number. It's actually over 4,100 participants now here, from some 94 different countries, so it's a record for AMEE. We've also got 500 participants online, and can I take this opportunity to say hello to all of the participants who have joined us around the world online. We hope you will enjoy. You won't get a chance to go on the Ferris wheel or visit the Spanish school, but you will get a chance to listen to some of the key presentations at this meeting. So big welcome to those joining us online from around the world. These are just some of the 94 countries, and if your country is not listed here, many apologies. These are the countries with 50 or more participants. And the record, of course, is Thailand. And we've got $464 from Thailand. More than 1 jumbo jet. But a particular welcome to those where there's just 1 or 2 participants. And these are the countries, and I wonder if you could stand up if you're from one of these countries. And if so, can we give them all a big clap and welcome if you're here. Also key to the meeting are the students, and this is some of the students last year, and this year we have even more students. We've of course got a tremendous task force, but we've got something like 340 students. I think the number's gone up to 360. And could all the students stand up? Could we have all the students standing up? And the students actually have organised an orientation session, especially for students. And I'm sure you already know, if you're a student, this is taking place on Monday. We also have a lot of junior doctors, some of whom have not been to an AMEE meeting before. And really, another junior doctors have arranged what they've called a young educator's couch session, which advises you how to get a career in medical education. So if you're a young doctor, want to go on the educator's couch, hear more about how to get a career in medical education, again, it's Monday at lunchtime, and these are in the programme. The programme, you either have the print programme if you ask for one, or the app, and that's the reference to the app. I'm sure you've already got that on your mobile phone or whatever. It's a very rich programme with all sorts of exciting developments in the programme. These are just some of the themes I've picked out. There are many other themes. There are some of the exciting themes throughout the meeting. just some of the themes at the meeting. We've got 5 really fantastic, as Trudie mentioned, plenary speakers. We have 25 symposia, picking out some of the major themes that are interesting us in medical education. A record number of 606 short communications, 10 minutes each, followed by 5 minutes discussion, so please take part in the discussion of these sessions. A round table where a theme is discussed, 21 papers in a round table session, 13 doctoral reports, PhDs who have just been completed in medical education. Sorry, and of course the fringe, one of the favourites, Rachel Ellaway. This is, I think, the last year she's going to be running it, so please do go along and listen to the fringe sessions. 62 workshops. We've almost had suggestions about how to allocate places to the workshops rather than just have it first come, first served. So we've gone back this year to try out some tickets in advance. So about 2/3 of the tickets have been issued in advance, so people know that they've got a definite booking, but there'll still be a few seats available at some of the workshops. But there is a limited number that can get into each workshop, and the students will help us control that. But some very interesting conference workshops. Again, 815 poster sessions and 281 e-posters. So a very exciting program. One of the new features is about mentoring, and Shuba is going to come and say a few words about mentoring.
Good evening, everyone, and it's an incredible pleasure to introduce a new formal mentoring scheme at the AMEE this year. And we have 2 parts to it. One is a one-on-one mentoring, where we matched up about 37 to 38 pairs, mentor-mentee pairs, and pretty much spread throughout the world, over many continents. The second, and each of them have been communicated with and have arranged to meet up and have a mentoring meeting and continue and a longitudinal mentoring relationship. The second is rather exciting. On Tuesday, I think, we're going to have a speed mentoring workshop where about 15 people, mentors, are going to be panelists just to discuss 5 hot topics in medical education. And a lot of mentees will be able to participate and ask questions of a group that can be considered the who's who in medical education. So thank you for this opportunity, and I'm really looking forward to feedback on this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Shuba. So each year we try to have some new feature, and this year it's about mentoring. We have tagged in the program some of the tracks running through the program. Particularly draw your attention to the surgery track. We had that last year for the first time, incredibly successful, and the surgeons have worked very hard to put together a track. So if all you wanted to know about was surgery education, you spent the whole meeting going to surgery track education sessions. Many want to split it over other areas. Also, postgraduate education, there's a track there you can follow with the icon of the program. Continued professional development. The notion of threshold concepts, we'll be hearing about that later this afternoon. Diversity, humanities, and a very special track for this year's meeting is the patient as educator. Not just the patient consuming our education or the simulated patient, the patient as an educator. And there's a fascinating session on Tuesday, a plenary, but also other sessions throughout the meeting on the patient as educator. We've got 87 exhibits. Again, thank you for all the companies and others and academic bodies who've helped support this. There's some of the many exhibits we have. Last year in the evaluation, in the question, what did you learn from the exhibits? I think it was 92% of participants took home at least one idea, a new idea for the school from visiting the exhibits. So I think there are new things to learn in the exhibits. You can also get coffee in the exhibit areas too. We've brought back this year after a request, this CPR course. I think many of us would like to learn, those who are not used to it, how do you do CPR? And it's too threatening often to learn. Here, in a non-threatening way, if you're not already familiar with the skill of cardiopulmonary resuscitation, you can learn in 5 minutes in this course. If you already are familiar with it and you feel you're an expert, why not go along and there's a competition for the best person? So either learn as a novice or test yourself as an expert. And thank Rieder for laying this on. In the exhibit, we do hope you'll visit the AMEE exhibit. You'll meet some of the many AMEE staff, many of you already been in touch with them, I'm sure. You'll hear about the AMEE different activities. You can purchase some of the AMEE guides and save the postage. You can meet members of the MedEd Publish team, our new online journal. And you can meet some of the Aspire Award winners. You'll be hearing some of these presentations later this week. But you can actually meet some of the award winners and hear what it meant to them to win an Aspire Award. And of course, you could also join AMEE at the same time. We have in the exhibit hall at lunchtime a soapbox where some of the exhibitors will be talking from a soapbox some of their ideas and impact on education. So these will be available, these talks, during the lunchtime session informally. There's also book signing at lunchtime tomorrow. Sorry. Live online, I mentioned, we have people live online around the world. They can email in their questions, and we'll be taking in the sessions, in the symposia sessions, and in the plenaries, questions live online. We also have a social media presence, and I hope you'll contribute to that. Here are some of the hashtags here. Hashtag AMEE 2019. So a very big welcome to AMEE 2019 and to Vienna. And I think if we end thanking everyone who's taken part, and thank everyone here for coming and making this meeting a success. Good. We end with a big applause and clap for everyone. So thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce for this very first plenary Ray Land. Ray worked first in teaching economics, and he found that what he needed to do was to try and create a more positive learning environment. And he was worried, why was it that some of the students were not progressing? Why were they running into difficulty? And was there a threshold, and that was the word used at that time, they needed to cross? And this led them to thinking, we did a rather different approach to thinking about curriculum planning and development, this whole issue of threshold concepts. And this is just one of his books on the subject. I think this has had an impact already. He'll tell us about it, I'm sure. More than 2,000 articles have been written on this notion of threshold concept, what have been described as the jewels in the curriculum. I think it's a very powerful idea that tackles many of the problems we're facing in medical education. And who better to talk to us about this than the guru, the person who actually first described this whole issue of threshold concept and who's developed it further than Ray Land.